Hello, and welcome to this episode of The Financial Translator, where we discuss financial topics in layman's terms to move you from confusion to confidence on a given topic. I am your host, Kirk Kreckmeyer, the Principal Advisor at Pebble Valley Wealth Management. We are a fee-only financial advisory firm helping our clients make informed decisions on their road toward financial security. You can find more information at pvwealthmgt.com. So on today's show, we are going to have the first of two episodes of Finance Fundamentals. And as a brief legal disclaimer, our discussions here should not be construed as financial or investment advice, and each person's situation is unique. All right, let's go. So joining me today is Maura Schneider, our summer intern.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Hey, thanks for joining us here. So Maura put these topics together, this Finance Fundamentals. Did a great job with it, as well as a great job with our summer project so far, enhancing our video and podcast. And more fun stuff to come. So so definitely it's been a big win for me. So welcome so far, and hopefully you're having a great summer.
Yeah, thank you. I am. Yeah. It's been a lot of fun so far.
Excellent. And then you're off to what's the college you chose?
I'm going to Wisconsin-Madison.
And the major is?
Business finance, yeah.
Nice. Big fan of that. So that's good. So ask away the questions, but no, we had you put together some great questions. I have some past blog posts for some of these topics, and so for my regular readers and listeners, I'm going to republish one of those this month, and then another one next month that covers some of these topics. But you did a great job of putting it together, so I'm going to turn it over to you and just let me know how you came up with this Finance Fundamental series and what was on your mind.
I was kind of thinking a lot about what I had learned in my classes this year, like personal finance and economics and stuff like that. But now, especially going away to college in the fall, I kind of a lot of the conversations with my friends and my parents, I feel have kind of started to revolve around money and how we're going to spend at college and just stuff like that. And
Excellent.
So these topics have kind of just been at the forefront of my mind, and I just want to know if there's anything I should be doing to stay on top of my personal finances.
Excellent. Yeah. First and foremost, the fact that you're asking these questions and thinking about them, you're well ahead of the curve. So great job already. And so we'll get into them, and I won't have all the answers, but I'll have some things to consider. So we'll go from there. But yeah, so given the topics you had, this first episode today, we're going to be talking about, I guess, budgeting, how we're going to pay for it, or how you're going to pay for it, and maybe with your parents, savings and investing, and then maybe just some news sources or what things might impact you. So, before we jump in, if you don't mind, just a couple of quick comments, I guess, to all the listeners out there, both, for you, the student and students in general, and also parents. So maybe just a few quick things. So I have 3 children. They've all gone through college. And so just a few quick comments. So one, exciting times. Parents, your babies will always be babies, but they're now adults. So it's a very exciting time. They're going to be leaving you, but it's an exciting time for them, so embrace it. It's a little bit scary, but it's also very, very fun. A second thing is communicate. So you're bringing up some topics that you probably haven't had in the past.
No.
Yeah, so it's okay. These are adult conversations, so both parents recognize that you're no longer having to manage your child and tell them what to do. It's having that adult conversation with them. So communicate comes in handy throughout life, and right now in this example. Parents, you each have your own style, so you do you. My personal style with our children anyway is, again, they're now adults. And so I don't micromanage. I give them guardrails. I answer the questions that you have. But at the same time, you need to decide as well. And that's part of the learning process. And the questions you're asking, you're already well along that learning process. But for parents, just recognize that you have to let them do more things now is the approach I took. And then, the other thing I would recommend, regardless of who's paying for it or how, I think it's back to that communication. Is parents and students, I think, should sit down and go over, okay, here are the costs. This is the tuition, room and board, books and fees, transportation. I know you're going to Madison, you said, so you're probably going to be driving, not flying, but some students might be flying maybe to Vermont or Virginia or Oklahoma. So just going through that logistics and the different costs, and then sharing that with them, even if the parents are covering it, just so everyone is aware of the investment that is being made. It's a lot of fun, a lot of decisions to make, but it's also an investment, so making the best of it. And then finally, for the student's perspective, everyone's going to have a different background. So obviously the friendships and their background growing up, but also just financially. So just being aware of everyone's in a different boat and be thankful and aware of what everyone has. So
Yeah.
enough rambling by me. So I'll let you jump into the topics.
Yeah. So one of my first questions was kind of about like budgeting. And so like right now when I'm living at home, like I don't really have a lot of extra expenses because like my stuff right now it's like covered like groceries and necessities and stuff like that. But I was kind of wondering like how I should be budgeting and like what are some like extra expenses that I won't really be like expecting my first year.
Yep. So first thing I would say for you and in general is that there's needs, wants, and wishes. So your needs, it was just taken care of for you because as a child, and that's what parents do. So kind of recognizing there's a lot of fun things you might want, but is it a need? Is it a want or the wishes? So thinking of it in those terms, again, back to that communication, when you have that conversation with your parents, hopefully you do, like, okay, room and board, transportation, getting clarity of, okay, what portion they're covering and what portion you're covering. And then in terms of like, what are those expenses? Think about what you're doing now. You probably go out and have some fun and, your parents probably give you a nice meal, but you can probably still go out to a restaurant sometime or snacks or ice cream or I do all of the above, as you can tell. So, thinking through what you're doing now and you'll be doing that and more. So, so I would just maybe jot it down. We'll get into more details on the budget in a second, but, think through what you'd be doing, jotting it down. What does it kind of cost you and how many times a week or a month would you be doing that?
Okay.
And then just kind of adding it up and like, is that, in line with what you were expecting? A dollar amount, I don't know. So each person is different. If it's maybe 50 to 100 a month, probably 100 is on the high side, but, and then jot down what you think you might have and see how that shakes out.
So are there any like bad habits that you think to end early right now?
Yeah, so I'd say the bad habits, again, exciting time. You're now an adult and you'll be making some great decisions, right? But a lot more, probably when you were in high school, you had schedules from high school. Your parents kind of let you know what had to be done. Now you're going to be on your own making those decisions. So I'd say the bad habit, the excitement, you got to make these decisions, is be aware that it's not unlimited. So laying out kind of what you expect to be doing with those expenses. And the bad habit would be you can't say yes to everything. You want to, and you'll be tempted to, and maybe early on you'll do more than you expected, and that's part of the learning process. But probably the bad habits is just recognize a lot of fun, a lot of choices, but prioritize what you want to do, and just be aware of what the costs are and who's covering them.
Yeah, and so right now, like with my spending, I only have a debit card, so I kind of was curious about like opening a credit card and stuff like that. And like, am I missing out while I don't have a credit card?
Credit card, yeah. Yeah, so definitely, so we have the budget things, so then you got to pay for it somehow, right? Yeah. So I'd say in terms of like, debits and credits, the first and foremost, two key things. One is convenience. I use cash sometimes, but I'm not sure if your generation uses cash very much. So convenience is good, but also security. Be aware of the security of the numbers you're giving people and the swiping the card, et cetera. So those are the two key factors. Okay. So you said you have a debit card now?
Yeah.
Okay, so you know how it works? And
yeah.
Have you ever, what balancing a checkbook is? Have you done it? Okay.
No, I don't have a checkbook or anything. Like
so I don't either. My lovely bride still does. I tried helping my mother back, since past, but I gave up on that. So. But the one nice thing, so with a debit card, as you spend, do you watch the balance?
Yeah, that's what I like, being able to see like when my money goes down.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah. So I would say your first year, so going into college, we'll talk about credit in a second here, but first and foremost, it's going to be managing, that spending of yours and watching it go. So I would say initially, again, as long as it's a place like a restaurant, places you go to, I would say a debit card is a very good choice because one, you can immediately see the consequence of the spending, and you'll have your rough idea of like, okay, I was expecting 75 or 100 bucks a month in my checking account, and if I just went to Jimmy John's and pizza and a concert here, you immediately see, okay, my debit card is now down to this. So I like that aspect of helping you track and the automatic spending tracker for you. The credit card. So you mentioned, you're missing out.
Yeah, that's what like building credit and
building
stuff.
Credit,
that's what I was kind of like.
Very important. You're very young, and there's time for that. So definitely that is important, but I'd say it's more important to manage the spending.
Okay.
And just getting good at it, right? You have to go through it, and so once you have the spending down, and you know what's coming and going, then it's easier to maybe jump to the credit cards. But the one thing you have to be careful about credit cards is, unlike your debit card where you spend something, your balance goes down. With a credit card, you spend something, and then okay, and you spend again, okay. So you don't see it.
Yeah, I feel like that's what kind of scares me is like the debt.
Yep.
I always hear like horror stories
Yeah,
about that.
so the biggest horror, yeah, so it's good that you're aware of that. So again, you're ahead of the curve and great job. So you have to realize a credit card is your spending. It's just that you pay for it later. And so it is, in effect, it's a mini loan you're taking. Every time you use your credit card, you're taking the mini loan for that amount.
Okay.
And again, the scary parts are where people get in trouble is they're not aware of what they're spending. And then at the end of the month, they say, oh, minimum balance or minimum payment is $15.24, even though the balance is $100. And then next month it's $203. So the mistakes people make is they only pay the little amount that's required, and the large interest just chews them up. So anyway, broadly speaking, debit card is what I'd recommend primarily.
Yeah.
Obviously, you're going to have, like, if there's a place that you're not sure of from a security perspective, talk to your parents. But if you don't have a credit card the first year, my kids didn't, so that's okay from my perspective. But that's where you'd like, okay, hey, mom or dad, I need your credit card. Or if it's a large purchase, again, you probably don't have many flights to worry about or something. But
luckily not. Yeah.
But if there is a large purchase, with a debit card, you have to have the money up front to spend it. Whereas the credit card, you don't, which is nice, as long as you know you're going to pay for it. So, and I'm trying to think. Let me just quickly check my notes if there's anything else to. That's the main thing. Next week or next month, I think in our finance fundamentals, we'll talk more about debt in general.
Okay.
And I can share some more details about the building credit. There's 5 major factors that go into it, which I can share next time. But again, important, but you have time
for later. So then my next question was kind of about like saving versus investing. So right now, like, I think I have a Roth, but I don't really know. But other than that, I know like the majority of my money is in like a savings account. So I'm just wondering if it's kind of like, if that's hurting me, I guess, in the long run, and like what I should be doing.
Yeah. So long run, if you keep it in savings, yes. And so when I say long run, 5, 10, 30 years.
Okay.
But right now, freshman in college, exciting times, and your focus is getting that education. So between savings and investing right now, savings is going to be most important. In our earlier conversation, when we talk about like that budgeting, going back to your first topic, let's say you have, let's just say $100 a month, because that's easy math for me. So I'm going to say $1,200, but I guess a student is only in school for 9 months of the year. So $900.
Yeah.
So it's important to make sure, like, okay, whatever that amount that you come up with, the portion you're going to pay, you have enough money in your savings account to cover that. And then it's always good to have like a little bit of a safety cushion. So maybe 2 years worth of where you're going to be spending. And the important part there is that it doesn't lose money, because you're going to need to spend that soon. And if you do invest it, there's potential of losses in the market. There's gains as well, but also losses. So savings is the most important thing, keeping it safe. You want to make sure you keep track of interest rates and earning a little bit on it. But the most important thing is that you're not losing. But if you find like, okay, I need $900 or $1,000 per college year, and then I'm going to get another part-time job the next summer to replenish it. If you find like, oh, and I've got like even more left in my savings, then you can take a portion of that and put it in investing. And we can get next episode, we can get into kind of how to do that. But definitely that's how I would think about the savings and investing.
And so say like I did have a little bit extra, would you recommend like gradually investing, like part of like if I just put my whole paycheck, I invested it, and then like the next paycheck I saved it? Or would you recommend like saving like chunks of your paycheck, like stuff like that at a time?
Yeah, so you could do both. I personally like doing a portion like over time. So a couple of reasons for that. One, it provides great discipline. There's this term, with the budgeting or spending priority, you pay yourself first, which means put money in your savings account first, or investing, but park your money into savings or investing, and then what's left, cover the bills. So paying yourself first provides a nice discipline to the budgeting process. And so let's say that Pebble Valley's paying you whatever amount it is per month, first portion goes into your, savings or investing. And then after that, it hits your checking account or debit card for spending purposes. So one, it provides a discipline. And then two, you mentioned that, it can be a little scary investing, right?
Yeah.
So one thing that also helps manage is regret. And so investing is very important, especially for the young, to get in early and let things compound. But you also don't want to jump in and get burned and then like hate the market. There's some, the generation that went through the Great Depression or even the 2008 financial crisis, they got burned pretty hard, and they changed their behaviors because of that, that sometimes hurt them a little bit because they were too cautious. So by doing this dollar cost averaging, by putting a little bit over time, you minimize that regret factor or that getting burned really hard. If you did your whole paycheck and the market fell a lot, it's like, damn, there went 30 or 40% of my paycheck that I worked my butt off. Whereas if it's a little bit each time, I always say, especially for the young, if the market pulls back, stocks are on sale. Everyone likes a good sale, right? If there's this cool dress and it's on sale, let's go for it. If these great stocks are on sale, people get scared. So it's a strange behavior, natural behavior. I do it as well. But so yeah, I guess a little bit each time, long-winded answer there. Sorry about that.
Okay, that makes sense. I don't know if there's anything else in there, but
no, I think I know we're going to be covering it at the next episode. Let me just quickly check and see. Really, just it's that over the next couple of years though, keeping it safe. That amount in savings. Interest rates are important, but I guess the one quick thing there, and maybe next episode I can put a graph together for people. But interest rates, if you have savings, you're going to earn a little bit of interest, and that's good. But you want to be aware of what interest rates are, especially on the credit card side, because that definitely can chew up. And earlier when I was saying that,
add up that debt.
Chewing up that debt. So if interest rates are high, compounding is the eighth wonder of the world. When you're savings, it's also the really, really ugly wonder of the world. It damages you pretty quickly. So,
So then lastly, I guess, is a little bit about the interest rates too. But like right now, I never follow along the news. I don't know. But since I'm going to be living on my own and stuff like that, I'm wondering if there's anything that would even affect the way I'm spending or my money, any news that I should be focused on or stay ahead of, I guess.
Yeah. So I definitely, high school, you're probably not reading the Chicago Tribune every morning or
not quite.
Editorial pages. So I'd say the news, the campus news. I'm not sure if they have it online or if they do a paper anymore, but it's always good just to keep up with what's going on in the campus, the sports, the like. So local news where you're living there, campus life. In general, other news. I'll do broad news and then specific to finance. So the broad news, as a college student, you're probably not going to be reading the Madison Gazette or whatever they call it every day. But maybe a weekly or monthly basis, just to be aware of, what's going on in the world. If there's a, monthly or weekly or monthly magazine. I love libraries, so find your little nook in the library and to go check out news for the week or the month.
So, is there anything that would I should be checking that would impact what I do with my money?
Yeah, I'd say with the now jumping to the finance side for the money, a couple things. So one, interest rate. So I would say again, college life, you're worried about the savings and managing credit cards. So I'd say the one thing in general, what interest rates are doing. If interest rates are really high and your savings are in a bank earning you nothing, well, you can get a little bit more. So be aware of what interest rates and make sure that your savings are at least earning a little bit for you. And then I mentioned already that with the credit cards, if interest rates are really high on credit cards, which right now they are, it's 20%.
Okay.
20%,
yeah,
so you definitely don't want to be borrowing money at that rate. So be aware that, it's really high rate. So it's really, really important to pay down. So finance news,
and
interest
I'm guessing
rates.
that's kind of same thing with the markets and stuff like that.
Yeah, so that's what the markets. So again, because you're young and have a lot of long time horizon, the markets are going to fall a lot. And again, that means stocks are on sale for you, so you should be excited.
Okay.
Because you're not going to need that money right away. So for your own savings, don't get too concerned about what the markets are doing because it's long time horizon.
Yeah.
I guess the one impact there, and again, back to that early conversation about having that conversation with their parents and how much they're paying, and it's expensive for college.
Yeah,
it's,
definitely.
$40,000-$50,000 for tuition, $10,000-$15,000 for room and board, times 4. So being aware of the market, thankfully we haven't had a recession in a while, but if there is going into recession, and then it's kind of back to those needs, wants, and wishes, and your parents are helping out, and that's great investment they're doing. But if the markets are falling or we go into a recession, just recognize that things might be tighter for some parents, right? So hey, can
pull back on that
pull
spending.
back, or just be aware of if they're saying no, we can't do that. Just understand that they may be going through some tough times, and so. But again, for you personally, interest rates, credit card, the main thing is to watch it. And if the market, not as much for you, other than don't be a market timer. Just more, it's about time in the market, not market timing, but won't impact you very much because you have a long time.
Okay.
So. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think that kind of wraps up my question.
Yeah, no, these are great, a great start, and I'm jealous. Can I come along? And have your parents asked if they want to join you for the first
Yeah.
month? Fun times. I'm looking over at the mom over here, so yeah, they will. So there was a funny story. My cousin, I'm tearing up a little bit myself because it's an exciting time, but their babies
Yeah.
are gone. So there was a cousin of mine. I won't say names to protect the innocent, but so you have an older sister,
Yeah, I do.
and so were you there when she left for college?
No, I couldn't move her in, but I was there when she said
Say goodbye.
Yeah, it was my first day of
Yep,
school,
yep,
so I
yep.
couldn't leave.
So the story was this unnamed cousin of mine. The whole family was able to go along and drop off the oldest, and then they left. And parents cry a little bit.
Yeah.
Moms more than dads, but I'm going to cry at weddings. I think for my downside. But then the second child went, and I'm trying to think how the story. Anyway, long story short, they dropped off the second child. And it was a really long distance. So the first
Yeah.
child was like pretty close. So the separation didn't impact the mom as much. The second child was like thousands of miles
Yeah.
away. So she was crying quite a bit. And the older son happened to be along, dropping off. And so the youngest,
Oh, he was like,
the youngest being the youngest fun, it's like, boy, mom didn't cry that much when
Yeah.
she dropped you off. So
Yeah.
anyway, well, that was some good topics. So
Yeah.
you want to come back next month and do it again?
yes, of course.
Yeah, yeah.
I'll have some more ready.
Yeah, you got some more questions ready. And listeners out there, if you had any questions that come up, if this triggered anything, feel free to shoot them into us. And so just send them my email at kirk@tvwealthmgt.com. It's also on our website there, and we'll try to incorporate them. So
Yeah.
until the next time, come back for the next episode. And
Yeah.
thanks a lot.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Thank you for listening to this episode of The Financial Translator. I hope this discussion helped clear up any confusion and will lead to more confident financial decisions. Thanks for your time, and be sure to check out all of our resources at pvwealthmgt.com. Until next time, go confidently.